Okay. So we'll get going now. First off, guys, thanks everybody for signing up to the session, the webinar tonight or this evening. This is really just on planning the session online and on the pitch, and it'll be mainly from my own knowledge, and we've different stuff and references in here from NYGAA as well. So we'll just get going. So. If you have any questions, guys, please just save them for the end and make a note, and then we'll discuss them after. Okay. So first, so if you take anything away from tonight, guys, it's the importance to prepare. And I think this goes back when you're taking a team and you're and the more effort that you put into a team, and they can see that, like, you get reciprocated back. So someone else just jumped in the call. Go. Yeah, so the importance to prepare, and I've borrowed this quote from Thomas Edison. So good fortune is what happens when opportunity meets planning. And what I personally took from that is, once what you do on the training pitch, often reflects what you do in a match. So if you're prepared for training, you're prepared for a match. If you're working hard in training, you do it in a match day. So I think it's more a life lesson more than anything. So the structure of the session tonight, it's really threefold. So first off, we're going to look at the coach. With a lot of coaches on the call tonight, and we're gonna break down the basics again. So what is their job, qualities of good coach, top 5 communication tips, and that's just really for a bit of self-reflection more than anything. We're going to look at on the pitch, so when you're planning a session on the pitch, and we're going to look at everything from nursery right up to under 16s, and we're just going to go through recommended session structures for each age group, and they are from the NYGAA club coaching manual. So I borrowed them from that there. We've been working that there the last number of weeks, and then the last one is just online virtual training. So I know a few people are interested, and I've started that there the last number of weeks, and it's just my findings and just a bit of advice if anybody going forward in their club is looking to do age specific trainings done virtually via Zoom. Okay. So first off, the job of the coach. So and I put down 3 key things. So it's to improve the player, to improve the team, and to teach the skills and lessons of the game. You maybe notice that I haven't actually put winning involved in that there, because I think winning is actually like more a byproduct of your job. Once you get the performance, once you get effort, and once you create good habits, then the winning takes care of itself. Just on the first one, improving the player, I think that's very important, because we as coaches have the opportunity to shape characteristics in players, not just a sport, but out through their life as well. If you think of the valuable life lessons like teamwork, leadership, communication, that relate back to the world of work, it can often be grow from sport. Improve the team overall, and then teach the skills and lessons of the game. So the coach must keep the emphasis on participation and enjoyment, with an increasing emphasis on winning and mainly competing, and more so once you get to U12 plus, and then you're encouraging high performance. So the basic skills done right in pressurized situations. And we haven't really talked about, I know we all want to win, but I love listening to Martin Fogger, and he always talks about, in any given championship, there could be 15 teams in a championship, and not everybody can win. But that doesn't actually mean that you can't be successful. And if you're doing the basics right, and you're being successful year on year, the winning will take care of itself. So next one, qualities of a good coach per age group. So just literally take 5-10 seconds yourself there to think of a great coach you had when you were growing up, or if you're a parent, a coach that your child speaks highly of. Like what makes them special? Like what makes them being characterized as a great coach. And I think we've sort of numbered it down there, and to probably, I'm sure they tick one of these boxes, if not them all. And these are the qualities. So even just to self-reflect, do you do this with your own practice when you're out in the team? Is there anything you could do better, could do more of? So positive. So you're there to make a positive experience, make it enjoyable for the players. And the more you do that, the more approachable and help to you. So enthusiastic, and I think that goes back into when you're there, you're there because you enjoy it, and you're there to get something. You're there to give back as well. So a coach should always be optimistic, and enthusiastic, and have energy in their verbal communications as well as their body language. Supportive. A coach should always be supportive of players and showing empathy. I think there's one, I can't remember the exact title of the quote, but you don't remember what teacher or coach taught you, but you remember how they made you feel. I think that there's comes into, especially into that one, but being supportive and showing empathy and showing players that you care, and you'll get a lot more out of them that way. Organised. So like we said at the start, being organised and being prepared so that you can fully focus on your task and your skills at hand. A good one. Coach work, tend to trust the players and not abuse that trust. Goal orientated, so it goes back to being focused and guiding what they want to be. We want every player to be able to kick off their left and right foot. We want to hold on for, say, under 12, maybe up to under 14. We want to carry each and every player, maybe even get a few more on board next year. We want no successes too. So it's not about winning. Knowledgeable, so obviously coach a knowledge of the games and the rules, but also how to adapt and keep training sessions fresh and with a sense of variety. So observant, I'd actually put, this isn't really in order of importance, but I would put this up near the top if this was going by level of importance. But the whole coaching fix. So if you see something wrong in someone's technique, you're able to observe it and then give feedback in a positive way to make sure they're doing it right. Reflective, and I'd say over the last number of years I've got better at this myself. But being able to plan what you want to do, execute it, plan a training session, carry it out, reflect back on it, what didn't go right, what could have went better, and then fixing it. And reflective also goes to everybody here tonight is here for reflective purposes. They're here to get better, and they're here to look at their own coaching and see and bring in you to it and maybe change or maybe adapt. And clear communication also should be a very, very strong point. So a coach needs to be able to communicate their message clearly and effectively to all, and then you can understand that different players need different ways to communicate them. So that brings us on to the top 5 tips that we've sort of picked up and I'd want to share with everybody. So communication, just the importance of preparing and preparing what you're going to say to someone, and to know that's the right thing. So you're not just sometimes saying things that are off the cuff. Communication is a giver, not a taker. So it's just important to coaches to listen to feedback from players, and to take on board. So if you're doing sprints all the time and people are fed up and there's that sense of enjoyment's been taken out of it, can you readapt, or can you change things up? And I've just put a note this year: ask questions to invoke learning. And there was a webinar there the other night, and I can't remember, it was Damien Coleman, but he said something about if you go with the answers and leave with the answers, it's no good to any player. You've got to get them to figure the answers out for themselves. So you have to, in a way, lead the conversations to get them thinking. So what if someone did a good pass? Where did you kick the ball there? How did that feel? What was going through? How did you enjoy that? All these questions that evoke the learning. Third one, show your time with them as the highest priority. Express your enjoyment at the end. I think that's just a very, very simple one. And I think as time is going on, you sort of realize it's more important than you think. So when you're at a training session, you're not on your phone, you're not, you're not standing chatting to one of the parents. You're there and you're involved, and you're happy to be there. Because I think it is a reciprocal thing that if you're happy to be there and the kids and players see that, then it's brought back into you, so the players give it back. Look for a common ground, and get names in and notice effort. So yeah, I just think that's a nice one to put in, because you have to invoke empathy. And when you say name, something so simple as saying, well done Mick, or well done Dave, or well done Ty, it was brilliant, it was a great run, or great try, or that builds people up. Just something. When I was growing up, there was one coach that always stood out to me, and if I did it, I was always cornerback due to my height, but if I ever carried the ball out of the fence, or didn't happen too much the way, but if I ever give it off the halfbacks, kicking the forwards, whatever, there was always one coach, and you live for them to say, that's your score, well, that's your score, Micky, that's your score, James. And that just gave you such a, he was saying your name, he was noticing your effort, he was noticing your contribution, instead of just, the forward that stuck the ball over the bar. So just something to think about. And express communications in a very non-aggressive way, by being clear, concise, and short. I think when you see a lot of, the sport movies today, and it's these big speeches that are roaring and shit. That can have a short term success, but in terms of long term, it's better to be concise and short and non-aggressive, and then when you need to be aggressive and get people motivated, you use that in certain points, so it's used at the appropriate time, and you're changing things up, you're keeping it fresh, instead of just being monotone the full time, or being loud and aggressive the whole time. And being clear, concise, and short when you're doing a training session. Very simply, that you can give your point across in a couple of words or in a couple of seconds, instead of spending 4 or 5 minutes talking when you should be training. So we're going to get straight into it, planning your session on the pitch. So I put this in, what does a good session look like? And these are a few things that I sort of noted, so you can feel free to agree or disagree, or make a note of a question. You have your session written down. Is it fun? Is there some element of fun in it? Does it include a warm up? Does it have the fundamental movements that should be having, with balance and agility? Is it player centered? There should be no cues. Is every player getting involved? Is there plenty of touches of the ball? Plenty of touches of the ball means players developing, they're getting better. Does it include skill development drills and activities? And is there but is it game based, and is it game? We lived for the last 20, 30 minutes of a session. It was a game, and if then you're doing your players a bit of it, they feel justice if you're not, because at the end of the day we're going to be playing games during the season anyway, so you may as well get used to it. And I mean, if you took coaches out of it, what would skills not be playing matches for someone to do some shape or form. So we're just going to look at the structure for a collective session on the pitch. So it should include a warm up. To it fun, active, multi-dimensional. I always bring up to coaches, should it be this? I always would keep a similar warm up that I like and that I find useful and that I find works, and then I can just roll it off for under 8s or under 12s or for seniors. But for your warm up, listen, you can change it every time, or you can keep it the same. So whatever works for you. So skill development. So write down what didn't go well the last match, or what do we need to work on as a team. Is it our hurling? Is it our striking? Is there a kicking ability? Is there a tackling? And can we set aside, two 10 to 15 minute activities that work in the technique, and then we can sort of build them into games from that. And you can just see in the left hand, hopefully the left hand side there, just going through the session structure, skill activity, duration, and then game duration 25 minutes, and then session review and conclusion. Nice things into perspective that you're introducing what you want to do at the start, even if it's only 2 or 3 minutes. It's a good 2 or 3 minutes spent, and then at the end of the session, just to review, ask the questions what people learned or what you wanted to get out of the session, and see if it stays. And I think it's something I'm starting to get a bit better at. I don't do it obviously, but when you want players to leave with it fresh in their mind, so it's important to have a review. Take the 2 or 3 minutes out of your session at the end to do that. So the game, small set of game, yeah, is the must. Just 2 seconds. Someone else is trying to call, folks. Gonna add them in. You're right. You 2 seconds. Good job. Back we go. So we have the game, the small set game at the end is a must. And if we have 16 players, can we even spend maybe 30 minutes, 35 minutes? Can we do 4v4? And then change the teams around, and then for the last 5 minutes, can we do 8v both sides? But we've got to remember, 4v2, whatever it is, small set of games, players are touching the ball more often. They're making more decisions. They feel more involved, so they're enjoying it. It just makes sense, and anything around. Or is if you're doing 9v9 and you have little Johnny in the corner who's touched the ball once the entire 20 minutes. That's not he doesn't feel valued, and he doesn't feel useful. Whereas before, he's guaranteed to touch the ball at least 4 to 5 times more often. And just on the game at the end, can we incorporate the skill that we were doing during the skill activity into the game? So something very, very simply, were we working on kick passing the space, kick passing the chest? Can we incorporate into the game? Right, guys, I'm going to give an extra point to the team when I see a 20-yard kick pass, 1 bounce, team gets 1 point. So throughout the game, throughout the skill. So at the start, we've introduced the skill, and then we've done the activity session, and then we've done the game. And something else in, sorry. We've done the game, and then just to really to focus it in, we've said we'll put the game in, and we've encouraged the use of what we've been practicing, and that can be anything from if it's blocking, if it's hooking, if it's team play, whatever it may be. So it's just something very, very simple to think about. So we're just going to sessions now, right? Just from under six to up, okay? So if we're planning a use 6 section, right? We have a generic warm up, so a fun game. So stuck in the mud, flush the toilet. Dory, I can send these games out later on after the PowerPoint. And then if we're doing U6s, it's probably best to use stations with different fundamental movements. Station and skill development. So we'll talk about fundamental movements. That's our our running, our coordination, our skill development. That's our kicking, our striking, our stop the ball, our first touch. So give them up the sessions. Oh, can we just everybody make sure they're on me, please? Sorry, I should do that. Yeah, and with different progressions and regressions, so making it easier, making it harder if need. And in the sessions, it means everybody's touching the ball more often, and then just the last 10 minutes, let the kids play a bit of a but in an unstructured way. So make up the game that involves everybody. It can be football, can be anything sort of fun. It doesn't need to be. The last thing they need is really a structured game of football or hurling. Under 6s, get them used to the fundamental movements, because if you think about it, up through the senior ranks, and we think the best players, the best forwards, the best defenders, skills in quickness and hand-eye coordination, be able to read a game, good sprint speed, good stamina. These all come from fundamental movements. All right. Let me just see, someone is not on it. Session. So recommend structure 1 hour, 10-minute warm up, just to get their pulse racing, and then back into 4 smaller stations. We're looking at 2 fundamental movements, which again is our agility or balance, and then another 2 for skills. So there we have pickups and kick, passing pairs. And then we can split in the last 20 minutes, 10 minutes of conditioning games to be taught in stage, and that's from possession game to throwing and catching to whatever you want to do. And then the last 12 minutes is following the Go Games model, which is small set of games again. So 4v4, 3v3. The very maximum should be 7v7 if you do that number. And you just read the tips at the bottom. Again, these are all of the Connacht GAA club coaching manual, which will hopefully have out the clubs now in the next week. Okay. So U10. Again, 4 sessions. The focus should be more so now on skill development with the refinement of the fundamental movements. So we're doing 3 skill sessions, 3 skill development sessions, and 1 fundamental movement and skills. Just read that below. So something like cats versus mice, which is the fox and hens. You have the penny and the tucked in behind, and you're working your agility. You have a mouse, or you have a player trying to grab the pennies out of the bibs, and then you have your 3 skill development moves. So these taught in the sections. There should be a focus on the theme. So if it's defending, it's about footwork. If it's about kicking, it's about the hook pass, the off the laces, the catching, all that there. U12. So this stage we should be moving away from the sessions and more into the session plan that we outlined there at the start. So a generic warm-up for all, fun game activities to develop the basic core and strength. So there, and then we're looking at reverse skills. So we're see the diagram highlighted, with the kick pass into space or move, and then you're moving into the other cone. So once you kick pass, you look for the turn, and then you practice the technique in the session with more players in a game. So the first 10 minutes could be a conditioner modified that the focus on is the skill you want to work with, i.e. the kick pass or the block, whatever it is, given extra points, and then just give it a full game at the end. Normal rules. And then we look at the U14 session. So the biggest difference is with, compared to the other ones, you have the GAA 15. So this is more to do with the different types of stretching that you do with under 14s as you would compared to U12s and U10s. And the reason for that is at that age they're growing a lot more faster, and their accelerated growth, they need to be stretching, and they need to be getting their body ready for the skills that they'll be using and the movements they'll be using in Gaelic games. Okay. And it always works to keep, have a football in there too. So skill activity game. So we're going to look at the first one, complex skills. So 2 balls and pass, moving both feet, both hands, working the first touch and the skills of the game, and then the next skill activity is a progression on. So read below. Possession-based games with emphasis kick passing. Teams try to keep possession using both hands and kick pass scoreboard of the team. So just really a possession game, and then we break off into small sided games. So 3v3, maximum 9v9. Okay. And finally, I know it's a little bit pushed to the side. I was trying to squeeze it in, but that's the U16s. So the GA1 15, more so get a good stretch, get the muscles ready for that they're going to be using during the game, so that stop injury prevention, and much similar to U14. Everything is just a little bit, everything's a little bit more fast. You're using both feet, whereas from vision to pressure situation, and then finally you'll be concluding into games at the end. Okay, so everybody just read that there. These slides will be going out. Okay. Okay. So lastly, what if something goes wrong when you're planning to do this session? So the most important thing is be adaptable, and if something isn't working, don't be afraid do not be afraid to change it. This might be making something easier, making something harder, changing altogether, and that's what the best coaches do. I mean, there's a good friend of mine there in the picture highlighted, and like, listen, there's no harm in saying, listen, that didn't work. I tried something, it didn't have the intended effect, but at least you're trying something. And coaching is one of those things where you can try stuff out. If you think a certain drill comes to mind, or a certain way of thinking, or a certain plan, then by all means try it. If it doesn't work, change it. If it's not for you, scrap it, move on. There's nothing wrong with going with your gut too. If you think something might work during a training session, give it a go. So now we're going to look at more so the online virtual training. This has been happening over the last few weeks, and I'm just going to give you my sort of thoughts on it. So we're going to look before, during, and then the after. There's Matt and Peter from Tampa. So again, just to break it down, what does a good session look like? And really, the only thing you can't do is really probably one of the most important parts is why this won't, you struggle to work this long term, but it does work for with isolation and everything that's happening. So have your session written down. Is it fun? If you have warm up, have you fundamental movements? Being at different ages. Is it player centered? No cues. Will there be no cues unless you've 14, 15 in the house and you're fighting over the one ball. And includes skill development, drills, and activities, and there's appropriate progressions. The only thing I will say, and I'll talk about this in drawbacks, but the difference is sometimes space limitations, and if you're like me, Wi-Fi difficulties sometimes. But we'll get into that later. So why is it valuable? Well, for one, it's keeping kids active, just like they're practicing their skills while not doing anything illegal. They're adhering to the health guidelines. I think over the past number of weeks, it definitely sort of keeping it done because it's something different, it's something new, and it's something exciting. Kids get to see their friends on a different platform, players from different clubs. Where it was one coach to one player. I think you'd have that reservation there because you've most time when coaching and these I'll demonstrate the skill and I'll go through it and then I'll come back to the camera to see how everybody's doing. Whereas that if you have one person doing it, I don't think you'd have the buy-in. Something to look forward to. You're starting to create a routine, and it's good socially and good mentally. And there's nothing better than getting out to the outside for 30 minutes in a day. So what are the drawbacks? So what are the imperfections? So there's definitely working with a lot shorter time of a session compared to a collective. So instead of the hour, you're really down to 30 minutes. You probably could push it to 45, but I suppose it's hard to hold on to someone's focus and attention for that long while changing things up. And the way we do it in New York is we do 30 minutes hurling, 30 minutes football as well. So we have a lot of dual players, so it just makes sense to do it that way. You probably do, on average, get less players numbers compared to a collective training session. So if I I was in New York and in different, say last year, and I called for U10 session for all of New York. I like to think you'd get, I don't know what 6, 7 what number is, but you're definitely, maybe probably half in that number. Because it's not everybody making work. What other drawbacks? It's not the same as physically playing with your friends. And that's nothing you can really do with that. And it's more. I feel it's more challenging for the coach to develop the session. I find it definitely difficult because of the last with the under 8 and the under 10. I'm quite young in Facebook, so when I'm demonstrating skills, I have to keep that in mind. I also have to keep in mind that a lot of different families are inside as well. So there's kicking the ball, it has to be sort of restrained to a certain area. And then with the older age groups, it's maybe less so with keeping them challenged and keeping them motivated and keeping them engaged. But I think it's been going well so far. So I'm from the clubs and the parents has been great, and it's actually really. I know there's a few people on the call that have sent me messages, so it actually has been great appreciated. Folks, just when you think the session hasn't went to plan, and you get a nice text. So thank you. With lockdown and with lockdown dependent. With lockdown, it's dependent on where you're living. So like we said, just with space and Wi-Fi access, especially you need a bigger space for the older ones. So if anybody is thinking of running something like this, there just is a few you need to go through. And I shout out to Geraldine Lavery for this information. She's a principal in Good Shepherd. So she sent me on this information. I find it very, very useful, to be honest with you. So we're just going to basically read through a few things, folks. So when setting up a video space, find a quiet space, good lighting, set up your device. Alert family and roommates that you will be filming at a certain time, not be interrupted. Definitely use those two, very useful. Sit in front of your device with a camera on and analyze what you can see in the frame. So if you're taking 10 steps back to demonstrate a skill, can you see yourself on the laptop? Because if you can't see it yourself, then the person can't see you either. So important, do not have anything in the background that you would be uncomfortable being seen by students or the families or the players. And I literally took some of this here. I was going to do it the opposite way in my living room, and you could see baby photos. So I was like, no one is going to see baby pictures of themselves. So I had to turn the camera around. So that was a good point just to think of. Unfortunately, no baby pictures for used against me. So prepare yourself for being on camera. So yeah, somebody just dress appropriately for doing a training session. Don't be rocking and wearing jeans. Do a test run of your recording yourself to get comfortable, making eye contact with the camera, audition yourself. Watch your own video to see, listen for speed and volume. Your speech when you're talking too fast. If your words enunciated, I need to understand. That's definitely great. The dairy action. So I'm trying to improve, folks. Trying to get better. Program yourself to be on the device and record. So if you're using a personal device, just clear your desktop off. Just in case I hit something off, I have everything removed. Like Facebook isn't open for a minute, just while I'm on this. It's just things I got there. Before you begin recording, planning your content, just like you for your writing. Write notes, what you plan to say, and keep them in a visible spot. So very, very simply, I mean, I have a few notes here that I've done for this presentation. Down. What I like to do is, and I've learnt this over the last number of sessions, the virtual ones. What I'll do is, in the form I ask for all players' first names, and I'll write them all down for hurling a football, stick them on the top right hand corner of my screen, so I can go through and I can encourage each player that's on, just so that they feel that they're part of something, they feel encouraged, and it makes everything a bit more. Was there anything else? And right session, what I've actually done for the U12 session there at the weekend is I wrote it out, and then I typed it out, and then I sent it in the chat feature, and I emailed it out to the parents just in case there was Wi-Fi difficulties, whatever you want. So just something to think about. So awaiting beforehand and add all time. So just prepare yourself and get ready. Do not. This is capitals. Do not share. Made new detail. About a month with a Dublin club, and they shared their Zoom ID on, and there was. When they was inappropriate content, there's inappropriate content at the same time if it was under 12, under 10 boys or something. So that's why, and I'm glad it was told me, because we've always went through a registration process, and it gets emailed out every week. It just means a lot, and we're looking at player welfare and just looking after ourselves. So when using Zoom, go to the Zoom on the website, make an account. If you don't already have one, click my account, click schedule a meeting, enter your date and time. Remember, you only have 40 minutes per session for the free version, and you're the one for participants. A waiting room and mute participants on entry. Save it and then email the password and the ID. And I get asked there the other day, it was a good question, why do you bother muting participants? Suppose if everybody they're unmuted themselves now, we begin background noise in the background, and you wouldn't be able to hear me. So back to a session on the pitch, you wouldn't talk to your team against the wind. So same thing with here. You make sure everybody's on mute, and you're the one talking. You're the one voice everybody hears. So content, this is only 25-30 minutes. So this must include as many touch the ball as possible. Figures, but not so much that can't do the activity, and that is a balancing act in itself. And I'm going to talk about that next slide. Every child must be encouraged, and I've learnt that from the first session. Every child has got to be encouraged by name and feel, and the way to balance and engage is to use targets and time trials and games as much as possible. So we're nearly there, folks. Some 10 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. So content. So this is just the rough content I go through. An idea for under 10 to under 12s. So we're up fundamental movements, things like Simon says, and shape games. So maybe say like a letter, say an animal, and players have to get into that shape as quick as possible. Or in our game there, we did draw a week and how fast can you? So I'll say, right, I'm going to watch who's the quickest, and I'm going to call it how fast can you. Say do 3 jumping, so they'll do jumping, or whatever it is. So it's just to get them going fast and getting them thinking quick. and then I'll just pick a few out, see who's going pretty fast. So you're craving that, you're craving that attention and that you're putting in the effort and you're getting the encouragement back. More generic. What I do with them, what I'll be doing this weekend is 15 seconds, high knees, keeping it fast, keeping it swift. Always encouraging. This is for everybody, encouraging both hands and both feet. So skill development for under 8s and 10 action. I'll let them practice, and we throw the ball to a partner, and then so we'll say, okay, now we're going to call it catches, and we're going to see how many throws and catches you can do in 30 seconds. And everybody in the group has got to hit 10 catches in 30 seconds, okay? And then, we make it more challenging. So if we say, did everybody find that good? And I'll ask you to give me a thumb down. And if it was too easy, I'll say, right, we're going 12 and 14s, hand pass to the left and right. How we're making it harder, how we're challenging. We're going to increase the target harder, and they're working harder to get the goal, and they're working on it. So in our skill development, so say the solo, so yeah, 8s and 10s, we've got to teach the teach the basics. We're dropping the ball, we're pointing our toe to the sky, we're hitting the ball up waist high. Practice that skill for 30 seconds. 5 for 10 for 30 seconds, so that's 10 total. 5 on your left, 5 on your right. And, we change that game code. Say we're going to call this next game lives, and you put 5 lives, and you lose every time. So you got to solo with your left, solo with your right in 30 seconds, and you can't lose all 5 lives. No, little things to get there just to get, make it more challenging and making it fun. These 12 14s, while you're not calling it a game, you're hitting them targets and you're giving them challenges, and that's fun in their eyes. So again, with the solo, how to make it more difficult, the way and every so if you're left, so but this time keep your head up, so peripheral vision. So in a match situation down the field, and you don't need to look down, take a solo. Your head is up, and you can see a pass, you can see a shot quicker and faster. And then we had a bit of crack, we had a bit of fun at the end. And I asked them to solo their left and right, closing their eyes, just something, a bit of fun. So yeah, then hurling, the roll lift, the jab lift, U8s. To start off with, can we put 2 objects 5 meters apart, use a ball, the partner, mommy, daddy, and older brother or sister rolls the ball, the player must stop it, pass it back. U10s, we're demonstrating the skill of roll lifting, jab lifting. They're going to practice it, and then we're going to make a game out of it. How many you can do inside 30 seconds, and everybody's got to hit 5 inside 30 seconds, or Coach Micky wins. So then it's the coach against the kids. So 2014s, how many you do inside a minute? Can everybody in the group collectively do 5 a minute? And then I might make it harder and say, right, we're going to do a second time. You've got time. So you've got to do the technique right. You're listening, everybody's lifting the ball too high. Pick up the ball lower to the ground. So you're telling them what you want to do. You're asking for more effort, but you want the technique down to a T. Hope this is making sense, guys. If you have any questions, please do give me a shout at the end here. Remember, with Liam here from Rangers, there in the picture below. Remember, constant encouragement to players, use of individual names, have a bit of fun, and this goes with a virtual training and on the grass, on the pitch one as well. Use of tone is important for engagement. More mature, more stern as you grow up the ages. And like I had my little sister help me just do the camera work and stuff, and even she was even saying that there's a big difference as I go from mom up to under 10, up to under 2, has got to reflect that age group to get the best of them. So I wouldn't say I didn't want to say change, but maturity levels and it's the language you use. So coach and fix method still applies. So look around and make sure every child is getting the technique right? Or maybe they're doing the wrong thing, just say, hey, you watching the camera? I want to see some solos, like something as simple as that there. Like don't just start looking, doing the doing the wrong thing. You can't see them. That's sort of the beauty with Zoom. And then lastly, encourage home practice. I trying to, there's that much going on. I sometimes forget that, but always encourage home practice. That's the best players credit to. So this is just something to look at. This is a U12 session that I typed out there at the weekend and sent it around to the players. Or to the parents. So just read something to have a read at, guys. Target 3. Maybe you're asking, how do you work out the targets? I did it myself an hour beforehand, a couple of hours beforehand, and tried to work it out for that age group. And then I tried to break it down with U12s to give them a bit of a cool down, a bit of a break, something fun. So put the ball between your 2 feet, jump up and catch it. Let's go. Can everybody do 10 inside, 30 seconds, 45 seconds? It's just something to look at. And this is the hurling. So the hand passing one, we're hand passing with the left. Sorry, your non-dominant hand first, and then to get them using both hands, you're going to practice juggling hurling. So you're going to throw the ball up over the hurdle, swap hands and catch it, throw the ball up over the hurdle, cross hands and catch it. And that was that's the very, very basics of a progression to a hand pass with your opposite hand. Throw the ball up, you can slip that into a traditional progression. You use your start and end your right hand, or your opposite your dominant hand when you're hand passing the ball. That's hurling only, guys. Sorry, for any football, like, what are you talking about? Is ball in her, ball up, swap sides, just something to. So yeah, resources. People are always wondering about resources, but there really is a ton of them out there. If you go to Google and Google GAA drills, you'll get unlimited resources. There is age appropriate ones on the website. I need to update that. I'll probably update next couple of days, so I'll get I'll put videos to age specific categories. I know a few Rockland ones on the call. I know Tigers already done that for Rockland. Just kind of have there's going. So if you want to go on the board the next few days, or go on to Rockland at the minute, everything's down videos age specific. Go to New York Game Development YouTube channel, and I've heard on at the minute. The weekend I was filming different skills videos and different coaching points on that. So if you want to go on to that as well. But I just wanted to put this in. I know with a lot of coaches on the call at the minute, if you haven't really done so, I think it's one of the best things I ever did when I started out. When I was 19, 18 or 19, was I bought an empty diary and I wrote down favourite drills in it. Small little book, I'd say about maybe that little size, and it's just handwritten notes, diagrams, things we got there, and then on you're going through your whatever. You can just go in and you can show you always a little bank of your own little drills and activities. I am currently working on it. There's a Give Us the Game book there. Dublin GAA have released. It's fairly good. I'm trying to do something similar for New York, but it does take a bit of time. So maybe 10 or 11 12 pages in, and it's just different drills. I think it would be useful for New York ones, but there's resources out there. Literally type in GAA drills in YouTube or go to the learning portal. I plan you a ton of folks, and they'll all be age specific. So we're nearly there, promise. Just on reflection, so this is an important part, and it's it's something maybe you maybe used to as you grow up through coaching. So reflection, and it's maybe asking yourself 4 questions really. How did the session go? Did everyone participate? Did they improve? Are they getting better? Any touches of the ball? Was the session challenging? Was joy? It was winning. Were you positive in your body language? How did you communicate through your session? And is work on for the next session a priority? So what are you going to do differently? Are you going to plan better? Maybe you find yourself struggling for a drill. It was too good, and you felt you had to move on from one drill to the next. Well then, right. Next time from now on, put directly in that if something's going well, then I can jump to it. So better to be prepared, unprepared. Where you did you get around every child? Did you say something positive with them? I was on a webinar the other night. Swear to God, I just thought this webinar with David Coleman and Martin Ford. It was something like 4 to 4 to 1 or 3 to 1. Positive versus improvement. 3 good things that a child did. They're trying hard, that they made a great catch, that they they can even do 3 things and say, listen, it'd be even better if you were to kick off the lace, or point your toe this way, or something, or you'd be even better if you could practice straight or left, kicking off your left, kicking off at the home practice. If you give people more challenges and encouragement, they're more likely to go with you. So we're the last couple of slides. So we've got a couple of questions sent in, and they were brilliant questions. Any tips on how to get kids a little more interested in online training? I think it really comes down to 3 main things. People can disagree or agree. Kids have got to feel included. They've got to feel challenged. It's got to be fun. There's got to be use of games, use of times or trials or targets. So that's the first one. Make sure your mini channels are right. So that, is every parent knowing what's happening? Be what's a group of parents, and after there, word out will grow up. And don't be afraid to put something up on social media. Just do not put the Zoom ID details. Put up a registration form, and then so you can actually screen people of what say this registration, say your name, your club, your email address, and what coach, what. So and then the last one, how to make it a little more interested or engaging. Can you make I see things on Twitter. I can do something similar, but the New York, say Young Gales or the Cullens, or can you give it a brand? Can you give it a name to make it make it exciting? To something that people want to be part of, make it attractive, and that you're showing the benefits to the parents, because really they're the ones that's going to be wanting to. They're the ones that be signing on to. So we'll get the benefits of virtual trends. So people are keeping creating routine, fundamental movements, skill development for games, all those things. So that's, I would say those 3 things are tips on how to get kids more interested in online training. Second question was, how's the best way to deal with mixed levels in the group? Brilliant question, and it always comes up. So if we have someone with low skill ability and high skill ability, what do we want both of them to achieve? We want both of them to improve, and we want both of them to enjoy the session, no matter where they're at. And to do that, they've got to feel included, they've got to feel encouraged, and they need plenty of touches of the football.
best way to do that is through small set games. So your 1v1s, your 2v2s, and you're putting your balancing out. So you're putting your, say, two strong players up against each other. Your two weaker players up against each other, because they're growing, because they're getting challenged. So they're growing up, instead of a strong player against a weaker player is just always going to dominate, and lower the weaker players. With picking teams, well, it's very important to be sensitive as well, so that you don't want to hurt. If the last thing you do want to do is hurt anybody's confidence. If it gets knocked, the last thing you want is somebody one sport because of that. And then the very last thing I just want to touch on is, if you're doing progressions, some clubs maybe under 10s and under 8 with each other, made a more advanced U10s, and some high advanced U10s, and some people just starting out at U8. So what are the pro progressions? So if you're doing soloing or you're doing striking, how do the appropriate progressions met? So can you extend the distance? Can you extend difficulty? Can you add time on to certain ones when you're doing skill development, say going around a corner and strike, and then can you distance for U10? Can you bend for U8? Simple things like that there. If you're solo, if we're solo and kicking the football, can we ask the U10s to try and aim into the chest? Can we get the U8s to kick it in the right direction? Can we give points out? Can we give small outs? So that's my thoughts on that. So thanks for listening. Any questions? I'm going to log out here now, just off in the team's screen, and if there's any questions, I think it's a better way, just turn your microphone on, and sure, we'll do it that way. Thanks, Sean. Any questions, guys? Just any questions at all?
Nice job, Micky.
If you feel more comfortable, you can write in the picture. That's fine. Sorry, that's scared. That's very loud. Sorry, say it again. Sorry.
Nice job, Micky.
Oh, thank you. Oh, come on. Thanks, Jared. Appreciate it.
I didn't know you had Wi-Fi up there.
I'll turn off the recording.